Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working on pretty much do these every 2 months because the last one we did was June. So August/September TBR. I have an issue saying those. It took me like 5 takes to say August/September. That is too many S's. Anyway, we're going to be using our TBR game. I do have a couple of books that I really want to read that I'm hoping we get the prompts for them. As usual, if you haven't seen one of these before, I would recommend going to the first one or just kind of rewatching a couple because I did change a couple of random rules. So like usual, we are traveling around the different worlds. Everything is different genres. We roll for genre and then we roll for the specific numbers of spaces and that gives us our prompt. And then if I don't complete a prompt, we go backwards if it's rolled the next time. So we are potentially going to go backwards today in 2 different genres. That is frightening. The point is to get to the end of the world, and once I leave, I am allowed to go buy a book in that genre. I buy books all the time, but it has to be in that genre. Yeah, and then I'll redo the prompts and really start over again, I guess. I am tempted to add a 6th world to be contemporary fiction or just miscellaneous, where I can just pick anything because I do have some genres that don't fit into these, like memoirs, nonfiction, contemporary fiction, cozy fiction, just general fiction. So maybe I'll just do a general fiction world potentially. I might add it like up here, but that will be if I finish one of these eventually. Let's work on completing what I have right now. So anyway, let's recap what happened last month or June. Let's recap what happened in June. So we rolled mystery, horror, fantasy, and 2 sci-fis. And currently, if we roll a romance, we will go backwards on the first roll. We also will be going backwards on sci-fi because I did not complete one of the sci-fi prompts. Actually, we won't be going backwards because we're stuck at a mandatory prompt. So if you don't know, there are mandatory stops on here to kind of prolong the game, and they are more specific niche prompts that are a little bit harder to fulfill. So you're kind of stuck there until you complete it, and then you can move forward or backwards. So for mystery, we had to read a cozy mystery. I ended up reading, oh no, I didn't do a cozy mystery either. Oh crap. How did I not read a cozy mystery? Oh no. Okay, so we're going to be going backwards in mystery as well. Jeez. That is not great. Okay, so we did not complete cozy mystery. I have 2 months to do this and I didn't manage to do it. Don't know how that happened. So then for our horror, our prompt was a mandatory stop that we didn't fulfill last time, but we did it this time. It was kill the killer, but obviously they escape, and that was, everything is kind of based off of something, like it should vibe with the area, and a lot of the horror ones were easily the most fun prompts to do, and that is definitely a Halloween reference with Michael Myers, how he always seems to be killed but always comes back. So basically what that means is I need to read a horror sequel or a horror with a sequel. So I can read the first in a series, it just has to have a series attached to it. But I ended up reading a sequel. I read What Feasts at Night. Really liked it, gave it 3.75. So that completes that horror roll. I got a fantasy pick, and the fantasy section has been the biggest struggle so far. If you guys have watched all the episodes, you know that I had a prompt that was read a book with an elf, but there's like no elf books unless you want to read high fantasy. I don't read high fantasy, so that was a whole mess. I keep rolling ones. I cannot get far in that world. So we keep rolling ones with that one. But this time we rolled a 1, and the prompt was book with traveling as a major plotline. So I needed a fantasy book that had traveling as a major plotline, and I read A Fate Inked in Blood. That definitely fits. That was our book club pick from June, or was it May? It might have been May, but I read it in June. Maybe. I think that's what it was. Yeah, everything was traveling. Like, everything was traveling, and that's why I think I didn't like a lot of it. So, that one definitely fit. We passed that one. And then 2 in sci-fi. So sci-fi, the one that I passed is Stepford Wives Vibes. And I ended up reading The Family Experiment. There were a lot of really good recommendations for this one. I had read quite a few of the recommendations, but I ended up picking up The Family Experiment and gave it a 5-star. And it was definitely Stepford Wives vibes, like if you tuned up Stepford Wives kind of. So like with the meta children and the perfect lives, and yeah, it was definitely some creepy sci-fi weird family drama dynamics things going on. So again, it's loose with Stepford Wives. It's not going to be exactly Stepford Wives, just kind of gives you those vibes. So Family Experiment definitely did that, and I gave that a 5 stars. So great. Then we had a mandatory stop for sci-fi, which was explore abandoned pods or living areas. So that's kind of like an alien kind of thing, where kind of like an alien thing, like a lot of these horror sci-fi books, they will wake up in like abandoned areas and you're like, why is it abandoned? So that's kind of the idea, and the prompt is book about surviving. So you just kind of have to survive something. I did not pass this one. I was planning on reading The Martian. I thought The Martian would have been absolutely perfect, but I just ended up not getting around to it. I had other stuff I wanted to read and it just didn't happen. I'm a mood reader, so it's hard for me to really pick a book and stick to it. So that's why it's kind of the purpose of me doing a TBR game, is to try and stick to a TBR. Doesn't go well a lot of times. So we failed a mystery, we failed a sci-fi. The mystery, I will go backwards. The sci-fi, I am stuck at the mandatory stop. That's right there. So with that being said, like I said, there are a couple of books that I want to get to this month. I am currently reading A House of Sky and Breath, so I would love a fantasy that has to do with A House of Sky and Breath. I would love to read Foxglove and Wisteria, so again, that's 2 more fantasies. I want to read Sleep Like Death, so that's another fantasy. I hope we just get fall fantasy. There are a couple of thrillers that I want to read. House of Glass, I think is what this new Sarah Pekkanen book. And then, I have a couple of audiobooks. So I'm kind of hoping some of those will fit into the prompts. So that being said, I still don't have my rolling cube space thing. So we're just going to do what we did in June. And we're just going to roll electronically. So we do 5 rolls for 5 different genres. That's 5 different books. And yeah, let's see what we get. So like I said, it's normally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is I pick the genre that I want to read. So hoping for 6s, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4s and 6s is what I want, which probably means I'm not going to be getting that, which is really annoying. Okay. A 2. So that is mystery. We are definitely going backwards. A 5 horror, which means we finally get to move forward into a different area. We're going to be going through the final area in horror, which is the woods. So that should be fun. A 2. Oh my gosh, mystery. So at least we're going back forwards. Backwards and then forwards. That's funny. Come on, we're not getting anything that I want. 4. Okay, finally we have a fantasy. Is that all? Oh no, we have 1 more. 1 more roll. 4. Okay, so we got 2 fantasy. Okay. Okay. So we have 2 mysteries, a horror, and 2 fantasies. I'm okay with that. That's okay. That is generally what I wanted. I really didn't want any horror this month, but I do have 2 horror books that could fit. Teenage Slasher and Bury Your Gaze is coming from Aardvark. So we're hoping for those 2. We're hoping for prompts that fit that. So let's roll our 5 numbers for what prompts we're going to be getting. So we're just going to do this rapid fire. A 3. So that is for our mystery. Another 3. That is for the next one, which is horror. 4 for our next mystery. And then the last 2 are both for fantasy. A 2 and a 3. All right, so let's actually move our squares and I'll show you where we end up on the board. So let's start with mystery because we got 2 mystery. We have backwards 3 and forwards 4. So I'm not gonna move the things. It's hard to see. So we are on the 3 space in this little area, the crime scene area. So moving back 3, we go 1, 2, 3. So that's a mandatory prompt. There is nothing there. So we don't have to read a book for that prompt, which is awesome. Because if you go backwards, that's kind of the thing, is sometimes you'll land on a space that doesn't have a prompt on it. I don't refill the prompts until we're out of the whole space, until we go home. So that's kind of like a win for us. That is a win. But then we go back forwards 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically we just went forward 1. Okay, so going forward 1 gives us our prompt. And again, this is the crime scene area. So our prompt is non-cop personnel gets involved in case directly. So this was definitely inspired by like your Wongs, etc. It is kind of within the cozy mystery genre a lot, where you have just a civilian who gets way too involved in a crime that is taking place. I think I actually have the book for that. I think I literally just bought it. I think I'll have to go. Yeah, I think I actually have something for that I literally just bought today. Okay, so right before filming this, I actually went to the bookstore because it is August 6th, and I went and picked up Apprentice to the Villain, and I also ended up picking up The Dead Guy Next Door by Lucy Score because I really wanted to read a Lucy Score, but I wasn't liking the ones that were like really popular, the ones with like the blue and the flower cover. So I was like, okay, this seems more like something I would like. This seems more cozy mystery with a romance in it. So I think this fits. Some things seem like they can't get worse. A so hot he should be illegal private investigator shows up on her doorstep looking for the guy next door who turns up murdered. Yeah, that totally works. And I really wanted to read this one this month. So yeah, even though it's a brand new book, which is kind of like defeats the purpose of this and reading my current TBR, we're going to be reading The Dead Guy Next Door. Okay, next up we have our horror pick. So currently we are right here at that mandatory stop. We're going to be moving 1, 2, 3 to that prompt. I'm going to move all of these later just because they're stuck to the board and it takes forever to actually peel them off. So moving 3 in horror, I really have my fingers crossed with this one that it's one of the 2 horror books that I actually want to read this month. I've been so iffy about horror lately that I'm just like, okay, so moving 3, we get Nature is the Evil Force. Okay, that does not fit either prompt. Really sad about that. But I think I might have one that will work. It's like fantasy horror. I'm gonna count this. I think this counts. And it counts even though if it ends up not being that way. I think this counts. House of Roots in Ruin. I've had this for a really long time. I've been putting it off because I loved House of Salt and Sorrow so much. I thought it was so good. But this definitely talks about like the plants and the lusciousness of the verdant landscape, I think is what it said. And like, come on. That's gonna be plant horror. Well, I'm thinking it's plant horror. So this is perfect. This to me matches pretty spot on with like nature is the horror, or at least it's part of the story. It's part of the horror aspect of it is nature horror, which is one of my favorite types of horror. I actually really, really love nature horror, which is why I put it in there because it's one of my favorite things. And like I said, we are in the plants area. We're in the forest area, so that makes sense. Finished mystery, we finished horror. We are on to the 2 fantasy picks. We're gonna be moving 1, 2, and then mandatory stop, so we can't do the full 3 movement. We can only do 2 of the second 3 movement, if that makes sense. I swear this makes sense in my head. I just don't know if it makes sense to everybody else. So we have our 2 prompts in fantasy, and then I'm so excited to be out of this fantasy area into the next one. Don't know if it's going to be any better, but I'm really hoping it is. Moving to forest on the cover. Okay, we can work with that maybe. I'm trying to think. And I'm like, is there a forest on any of the covers that I want to read? Yeah, we're gonna have to go look at that. And the mandatory stop is we come to a cottage. A cottage comes into view and we need to help a witch cast a spell. So it's good things. Book with witches. Yes. Woo! Okay, that's an easy one. Technically Crescent City counts. There are witches in Crescent City. Or a House of Sky and Breath. I just feel like that's cheating. It's not within the spirit, I feel like, of the prompt. So I will use it if I have to, but let me go see if I can find something else that works better. So forest on the cover, book with witches, kind of spellcasting witches. Okay, I found the two most perfect books. Perfect books. So first was forest. First was forest on the cover, and we have Lore of the Wilds. I have not heard great things about this, but this apparently, this could be wrong audience type of situation going on, as this was picked for the very first Fairy Loot Romantasy box, so very high expectations, and apparently it seems more young adult is what it seems like, so it potentially has low ratings because of that, because the expectation did not meet what the book actually is. So I am hoping, because my expectations are different than other people who are reading it, that I'll really, really like this one. But this is like forest on the cover. They're literally in the middle of the forest. So I'm pretty excited about this. I am very nervous. I'm very, very nervous because of the ratings on this one. But I love this cover. I think it's gorgeous. I think it sounds really good. So I'm gonna think it's gonna be really, really good. Okay, we're gonna go with that. Second one is witches, and like I said, I wanted it to kind of be the aesthetic of what it should be. Like technically, a House of Sky and Breath would count, but I wanted more of what the spirit of the prompt is what I've been trying to do. Honey Witch, literally perfect for this prompt. We're trying to help a witch cast a spell. This is literally perfect. It's a cottage in the woods. Perfection. I'm so good at this, right? I think it's another Fairy Loot pick. Was this Romantasy? No, I think this is just an adult Fairy Loot pick. So we have our books that I want to try and read, and I feel like we're stacked. None of these were from the pile that I wanted to get books from, but I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a great time. This is such a good stack of books. Honey Witch, Lore of the Wilds, House of Roots and Ruin, and The Dead Guy Next Door. My expectations of what I'm going to like, I've never read a Lucy score, so I definitely am nervous about this one. House of Roots and Ruin, definitely top. I think, not basing it off ratings off of Goodreads, I'm gonna put Lore of the Wilds next, then Honey Witch. I'm gonna put The Dead Guy Next Door last, just because I am nervous this is gonna be too romance heavy for what I like, because I do know Lucy Score can have some spicy books. So this is kind of what I think I'm going to like, with House of Roots and Ruin at the top and The Dead Guy Next Door at the bottom. But I think all of these could be 4 stars or higher. So I'm very excited. So because we had that blank space, we only have 4 books to read in the next 2 months. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the TBR. Let me know what you guys plan to read for August. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like the video if you did. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future content, including unboxings and all my thoughts about House of Sky and Breath, and some more TBRs coming up, and all the good stuff, the normal stuff that we do. And make sure you leave a comment down below, because I always love hearing from you guys. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next video.